Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? Coffee's wonderful. The Holly Jolly coffee. Let me just say something right now. This is getting very, very intense in the Middle East right now, the Holy Land, especially after yesterday's assassination of Iran's top nuclear scientist who was in charge of building the nuclear bombs for Iran. He was gunned down in assassination style right on the road by the Israeli Mossad. This is incredible information. I'm going to tell you all about it because now I broke this news yesterday. Now we have a response by the Ayatollah Allah Khomeini. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going on here. And no wonder President Donald Trump is going to Camp David to meet with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and leaders of his top generals, including his new Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller. All of them are going to be getting together. Vice President Pence. This is huge. You don't go to Camp David unless you're talking about war scenarios. And the president even tweeted yesterday, there's a lot going to happen, he said, between now and January 20th. But first, let's put a shout out right now, if we could, guys, for www.lightbug.com. What? www.lightbug.com. Wildfires are causing power grids all across America to fail, especially in California. Potentially, this could leave millions of people of homes without power. This has had me thinking a lot about this. What would I do if I found myself days without power? Okay, well, you need, obviously, you would need to have a way to still charge up your phones for communication and other things. This is why I have prepared by getting Lightbug. That's right, Lightbug. And that's spelled L-Y-T-E, Lightbug. It's amazing. This Lightbug is portable. It's solar powered. It's ultra bright. I won't even turn it on for fear it will blind you. Seriously, it would. It's ultra bright floodlights. It even has 3 different lighting modes because it's solar powered. You never have to worry about wires or batteries. It comes with the battery indicator, even telling you how much charge you still have left. This is incredible. What a great product. And it's perfect to light up your fishing, your hiking, or camping trips because it's so lightweight. It's portable. It's also used and around the house for car maintenance or just as a great general emergency light. Guys, this would make a perfect Christmas gift. It's lightbug.com. That's www.lightbug.com. Solar powered, beautiful. Go check it out, guys. Celebrate Black Friday month here in November at www.lightbug.com. All right, let me tell you what's happening now. This an incredible situation developing with Iran. I'm so glad to see all of you here. I just did a video a few moments ago, and it's so good to see you guys back in here. Some of you are new, but we got a lot to cover today. So stay with me because we've got several things to cover. This one's huge. Let me tell you what it is. We just got information that according to Russia Today, the Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Allah Khomeini, pledges to firmly prosecute those that are behind the assassination of his top military scientist. Now, this is illegal for Iran to build nuclear weapons, according even to the Obama administration, along with Joe Biden and John Kerry, that Iranian nuke deal that included the British, the French, the Chinese, the Russians, the Germans, the Americans, all did this little deal with the Iranians. Now, when Trump got elected, he said it's the worst deal ever signed in the history of humanity, and he ripped that thing up. But now that Joe Biden looks like is going to be going into the White House potentially, he is saying that once he's in power, that he will resume this deal. Well, I don't think the Israelis can afford or the Saudi Arabians for that matter, to allow the Iranians to get these nuclear weapons because of Iran's ideology, because of the religious ideology that they want to destroy both Mecca in Saudi Arabia and Jerusalem and take over the Temple Mount and set up a new holy site for Islam. So, having said all that, Iran will have retribution for the death of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, the nuclear military scientist who was killed yesterday in a drive-up assassination on the streets of Iran. And the country's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iranian officials have all accused Israel of being behind the killing. Matter of fact, they say that this scientist was a precious soul, valued for his great and lasting scientific efforts, trying to build a nuclear bomb that could be used for the detonation upon the citizens of Israel. Matter of fact, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said in a statement this morning, Iran will conduct a thorough investigation of his assassination and to firmly prosecute its perpetrators and its commanders, while doubling down on the scientific exploration in the fields in which this scientist worked. Now, as Khamenei even tweeted this, we also heard from the president of Iran, the Honorable Hassan Rouhani, and he said Iran's president points the finger at Israel after the assassination of the top military scientist near the outskirts, the suburbs of Tehran, Iran, in an explosive, incredible situation there. It was incredible what happened and how that assassination went down. Now, I've heard some other YouTube reporters out there blaming the United States and Israel for this assassination, and I have no doubt in my mind that the Americans were no doubt involved, along with the Saudi Arabians, but it is the Israelis, Mossad, that really carried this out, because this scientist was the #1 military target on the list of the intelligence agency of the Mossad, and was one of the top 5 military targets of the United States of America's CIA. Now, over in Israel, in Debka File, they are reporting it this way. Israel says the Ayatollah Khamenei weighs in with a threat of retaliation for the assassination of a top nuclear scientist. Iran's Supreme National Security Council held an emergency meeting this morning following the assassination yesterday of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, the architect of Iran's secret nuclear arms and missile programs, according to senior military commanders that were present. The supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, followed President Hassan Rouhani along with other top officials, but did not include General Salami. And of course, it couldn't include the late General Soleimani, who President Trump took out about 2 years ago with that airstrike. But Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei followed the President Hassan Rouhani in assigning the blame for the killing of the killing of their nuclear scientists. They said it was Israel's Mossad, and they threatened to retaliate. They all promised to carry on his work, to strike back at his killers at the proper time, as President Hassan Rouhani qualified. See, they can't respond, guys. How many times have they said this? That they're going to carry this out, carry this out, carry this out. They're not responding because they're waiting on the new regimes that are taking over in different countries, including the next administration, I think, that's coming in here in the United States. They're holding back and waiting. But the Israelis are not waiting on a new administration here in America. they are moving forward, for they have fear, I think, along with the Saudi Arabians, that if they don't move quickly and cripple the Iranians' capability of nuclear weapon deployment, that there could be a massive loss of life either in Saudi Arabia or in Israel or in both. Okay, and so at least 2 vehicles were involved in the attack, according to the semi-official news agency Tasman out of Iran. Terrorists blew up another car, they said, before firing on the vehicle carrying the nuclear scientist. He was traveling in an armored car, which most sources agreed was eventually blown up by a truck bomb before or after. The gunman jumped out and fired automatic weapons in a shootout with his bodyguards. The casualties were high, and the killers appeared to have readied a separate vehicle for their own getaway. Israel, the White House, the Pentagon, the U.S. State Department, and the CIA have all declined to comment on this episode. Let me say that again. Israel, the White House, the Pentagon, the United States State Department, and the CIA have all declined to comment on this episode. They are not willing to confirm or deny. They're not even going to comment, as have Biden's transition team also is not commenting. However, it was indeed the work of Israel's Mossad, a scenario which may never be confirmed or proven. It would indicate the presence of an extensive Israeli intelligence spy network of agents that are planted all over the Islamic Republic of Iran, which may be surmised to have enlisted local anti-regime elements for the operation. 8 years ago, a director of Iran's main uranium enrichment site there in Nanance was killed in a blast from a magnetic bomb placed on his car. I remember that. I covered that story. He was at least the 5th Iranian nuclear scientist killed in apparent target attacks in a 2-year period. We covered that right here on this YouTube channel, which Israel never has acknowledged. But then, too, in February, in 2012, the Islamic regime held Israel responsible and sought to wreak vengeance, of which they never have. It did so by trying to activating its foreign network of terrorist cells to try and assassinate an Israeli diplomat that was in Bangkok, Thailand. Also, they tried to assassinate Israeli diplomats in New Delhi, India, and also in other locations. Now, that network was developed by the General Qassem Soleimani. Remember him? He was the Al-Quds chief, whom the Americans killed in Baghdad when Trump ordered his assassination by drone strike in 2018. So that same nuclear scientist shared with him the rank of Brigadier General of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. So this scientist that was killed was not just some guy who works in a lab. He was a brigadier general, the top military nuclear scientist of Iran, who was working diligently to build nuclear bombs to use on Israel and or Saudi Arabia if need be. This is why Mossad took him out. He was the number one target that must be removed. So when I bring this up, in case you hear some of these other guys on YouTube who don't know what they're talking about, say that this was an aggressive move by Israel. I think what people need to understand, it was a bold move by Israel to eliminate an aggressive threat to the nation of Israel. And really, I think the meeting that took place in Saudi Arabia last week over in the secret city of Neom, where the Saudi crown prince, Mohammed bin Salman, along with the Secretary of State of the United States, Mike Pompeo, and the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. 5-hour meeting in the secret city of Neom. I believe that in that meeting, that's where the blessing, if you will, to go forward and assassinate this nuclear scientist, I believe that's where it was agreed to. But I think more than that was agreed to. I don't think that was the only reason those guys got together. I don't think that's enough. I think there's a whole more to what's on the table right now. And between now and January 20th, you may see more aggressive military strikes, assassinations, or even annihilation of their nuclear facility in Iran, of the nuclear installation called Nanance. So I'm just saying now, guys, keep your eyes open. We're living in a very, very volatile time. Now, remember, Joe Biden says if once he's in office, he is going to reinstate the Iranian nuke deal, not try to dismantle the Iranian nuclear initiative. So this is why you're probably seeing the United States, along with the Iranians and the Saudi Arabians, working diligently to cripple Iran's capabilities before a change in administration takes place here in the United States. Okay, we're going to keep our eyes open on this. I mean, I'm just telling you what's going on. Very interesting times. And if you look at the Bible, yes, I was telling people yesterday, the destruction of Damascus is looming because of what we've been watching with the Israelis making strikes on Iranian military locations in Syria, including on the outskirts and the suburbs of Damascus. That's Isaiah 17. It's in the same chapter in Jeremiah 49. You can read about the destruction of Damascus, starting reading in Jeremiah 49, verse 23. But the same chapter, Jeremiah 49, also talks about the destruction of Elam, or the kingdom of Elam, or which would be today's modern day Iran. And it says it in the same chapter. It's Jeremiah 49. You don't hear people talk much about it, but we've been talking about it for years here as we study biblical prophecy, as we take a look at the current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. I hope this helps you understand that these events that we're watching unfold. Now, remember, President Donald J. Trump is going to Camp David with his top generals and the Secretary of Defense and the Vice President and the Secretary of State. And why in the world would he be going there this late in the game? But I would think there's some strategic discussions going to be going on there, maybe even planning of what's going to take place. And who knows, maybe even President Trump is going to put things in motion before another administration gets set up in Washington. I'll be back with more. I got a ton of stuff to cover today. You won't believe how fast things are aggressively taking place out here. And so we're going to continue to watch all these events, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, because when somebody says they want to annihilate you and they're building the bombs to do it, I think it is very prudent to take out every possible capability that they could have to keep them from doing what they say they're going to do. And as a matter of fact, if you read Psalms 83, it tells you about these different nations building a confederacy or building a consortium to plot against Israel and to wipe Israel off the face of the map. It's right in Psalms 83. And I've talked to Bill Salas about this. I interviewed the late Dr. Chuck Missler about it. And he said he believed it would be the next great biblical event that would happen next. He talked about Psalms 83. He talked about Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38. We're looking at these things that are building, the building of the third temple. All these things are coming so quickly now. We're living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Seriously, we're running out of time. I'll be back with more in another video here in a few minutes. I'm going to actually go back and find from my archives a little bit of that interview with Dr. Chuck Misler from 2015 when I interviewed him. And I think I need to bring that back, and I'll do that in the next video. So get some coffee. Get some coffee. Go get a cup of coffee right now. I should be back live in about 10 minutes or so. Are you serious? Good to see 888 of you. Put a thumbs up, everybody, because you know this was a great video. It's very informative on current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you saved?